So this is a video idea that's been suggested to me a lot, and I'm finally going through with it. What are the worst songs on albums that are otherwise good or even great? It's an interesting concept, right? A musician or band spends all this time putting together a quality project, but somehow something borderline unlistenable makes its way onto the final cut. For the sake of this video, I wanted to go beyond myself and look at the bigger picture. I didn't want to just cherry pick certain songs that I don't like. My goal was to make a list that captures the opinions of the greater music landscape. What would most people agree are the worst songs from good albums? And being that I'm trying to make a definitive list, why not go full Watch Mojo mode and do a top 10? It only seems right. I've got my selections that I think fit this theme pretty well, and you will see my opinions flowing through the order of how I ranked these 10 songs. At number 10, we have the track Email My Heart by Britney Spears off of her 1999 classic album Baby One More Time. I'm putting this last because I think it's the least egregious when it comes to the whole, oh, this album is fantastic, but there's this one stinker on it. That's not really the case here. Email My Heart isn't a terrible song, and it's certainly not a whole lot different from the other stuff on Baby One More Time. Musically, it's this cute teen pop ballad, but you heard the title of the track. The entire concept of Email My Heart is hilariously stuck in one ultra-specific time, and that's why I'm including it on this list. The idea of a song called Email My Heart and lyrics like all I do is check the screen to see if you're okay, and email me back and say our love will stay alive, forever email my heart, woah. It is so unintentionally goofy. Then you compare it to something much more timeless like the titular Baby One More Time, and there's a world of difference. This is literally one of the highest selling albums of all time. It earned Britney a couple Grammy nominations, but the only thing people are gonna do when Email My Heart comes on is laugh at how silly it is. At number 9, we have the track Hey Foxy Mop Handle Mama That's Me by Pearl Jam off of their 1994 album Vitalogy. Within the Pearl Jam fandom, this is more commonly known as Stupid Mop because who has the time for that title, and this is essentially a non-song. It's almost 8 minutes in length, and it's supposed to be this edgy, creepy instrumental that closes the album, but all it does is end up being an annoying distraction from the pretty great grunge tracks that I just listened to. The main talking point of Stupid Mop is that there are these voices from the patients of mental health hospitals played over the instrumental. Eddie Vedder recorded a news broadcast of these patients when he was 17, and he thinks it helped Stupid Mop become their most emotional and moving song to date. I don't know about that. I'm putting it pretty low on my list because at least I see the artistic merit in what they were trying to do. An atmospheric song with real audio of people that got prematurely kicked out of their mental hospitals sounds messed up but intriguing nonetheless. But 8 minutes of it on an album that already suffers from having a bit too much filler? No thanks. At number 8, we have the song Endless Nameless by Nirvana off of their 1991 iconic album Nevermind. You might argue that this shouldn't really count because it's technically a hidden track and it's not advertised as being on Nevermind, but listen, we're like 30 years down the road, this project is ridiculously critically acclaimed, again, it's one of the highest selling albums of all time. I don't really feel like I'm digging up some lost song that nobody ever comes across for the sake of this video. Endless Nameless, kinda like Stupid Mop, is too long, it's an instrumental that isn't very interesting, but with this one, there's not even the saving grace of, oh, it's this artistic statement that blah blah blah. No, it's just 7 minutes of throwaway at the end of a stellar album. Sure, there's the lore of Nirvana playing this track to end their shows and everybody destroys their instruments, but when I'm listening to Nevermind from front to back, I don't think that that information translates. At number 7, we have All By Myself by Green Day off of their beloved 1994 album Dookie. On this project, we've got perfect pop-punk anthems like Basket Case and When I Come Around. This album was super significant for punk rock in general, and it launched Green Day into the spotlight, But if you stick around to the end, you'll get another hidden track, and All By Myself is this creepy, uncomfortable ode to pleasuring oneself by Green Day's drummer Trey Cool. I'm not going to spend too long on this one, it's obviously a joke, but Trey's voice is terrible, and you can argue that Dookie is immature and sarcastic to begin with, so it fits that vibe, but even with that said, this is by far the lowest point on the album. It's just stupid.
All by myself.
At number 6, we have Wild Honey Pie by the Beatles off of the incomparable 1968 White Album. Without any exaggeration, this is a contender for one of the best albums ever made. While My Guitar Gently Weeps, Helter Skelter, Dear Prudence, Happiness is a Warm Gun, Blackbird, Back in the USSR, and the list goes on. And then there's Wild Honey Pie. On an album with some of the most important, influential tracks in music history, Wild Honey Pie is grating, to say the least. It's obnoxious, annoying, experimental rock, and it was a bizarre inclusion on this album. From what I know, it was Paul trying to be avant-garde, he was fascinated by altering his voice and layering different sounds, and I mean, the redeeming quality is that it's only 52 seconds long, but man, those 52 seconds are rough. You may be wondering why I chose Wild Honey Pie and not Revolution 9, which takes up far more space on the album, but I've already discussed these lengthy, quasi-artistic statements, and I want to transition into more traditional definitions of what qualifies as a song. We have Jazz Police by the late great Leonard Cohen off of his fantastic 1998 album, I'm Your Man. There's some cheesy production that flows through this project, sure, but this is one of my favorite albums of the 80s. Cohen's deadpan delivery comes off as effortlessly cool, there's beauty, there's romance, vivid imagery, and then Jazz Police is probably twice as goofy as Email My Heart is. It is so ridiculously dramatic. The first time I listened to this album, I was baffled. It feels like you're in this post-apocalyptic spy movie, but the focus of the song is a police force that doesn't want anyone to play jazz, and then there's this theatrical chorus on the bridge that's falling in love with the Jazz Police. It's all so odd. It also feels like the ideas behind the song gave Cohen plenty of room to be as strange as possible musically, too. The chord progressions are unpleasant, to say the least. I know that jazz isn't for everyone, but is anyone interested in absurdist jazz pop songs about jazz? I don't know. This is a critically acclaimed album that helped Leonard Cohen become more of a household name. There's only 8 tracks on it, and one of them is terrible.
Jazz police are looking through my folders.
At number 4, we have the song What's Your Phone Number by Tupac off of one of his best albums, 1996's All Eyes on Me. I have 2 main gripes with this song. One is the choice of the instrumental, and the other is this awkward, sensual phone call that finishes the track. So musically, what we have here is a textbook example of far too much going on. Tupac is rapping over a sample, but it's pretty much just a clean rip of the instrumental for the Times 777-9311. This is a funk song that is known for being insanely complex. The drums have these doubled and tripled hi-hats, the bass is untouchable, everything was done by Prince, and somehow it fits perfectly together like a jigsaw puzzle with 10,000 pieces. And for whatever reason, Tupac decided to rap on this sacred funk instrumental, and it's an absolute mess. Remember those memes about how Blueface doesn't rap on beat? This is like that on steroids. It seems like it would be impossible for anyone to try and rap on this because it's just sensory overload. This song makes me feel claustrophobic. And then to make matters worse, once he's done rapping, there's this phone call still over the 777-9311 instrumental that goes on for 3 minutes. It's supposed to be this sexy conversation, but again, there's way too much going on. Do that over a simple drum beat or something, not Prince going crazy. This is a high-quality 90s hip-hop album, but man, I cannot stand this one song on it. At number 3, we have Meat is Murder by the Smiths off of their immaculate 1985 album of the same name. Don't you love it when you're listening to one of the best bands of the 80s, and they make these lush, introspective indie pop songs, and the album is just one delightful track after another, and then it ends with 6 minutes of cows mooing and Morrissey droning about how everyone that isn't a vegetarian is a terrible person. And listen, this isn't about me being against vegetarians or veganism, it's that in this case, those topics clearly don't make for good music. Even if we're going beyond Morrissey's pity party and him force-feeding you his beliefs, the band plays this boring, tenuous instrumental that makes me want to fall asleep. And if you want me to really go there, it's funny how Morrissey sings lyrics like, "And death for no reason is murder, and the flesh you so fancifully fry is not succulent, tasty, or kind," and then he's a terrible, racist human being in real life. The album as a whole is excellent, but this song is Morrissey at his most insufferable. At number 2, and it pains me to say this, it's Mamacita by Outkast off of their 1998 classic, Aquemini. This is one of the best rap albums ever. It's actually the first vinyl I ever bought, which is a nice little fun fact about me, but Mamacita is extremely irritating. For two guys that understand an attractive, inviting melody so well, it's downright shocking that this nauseating, repetitive call and response hook made it on the song, but then you have to hear it a total of 5 times. That is so many Mamacitas and Papadonnas. And it's funny seeing how much one hook can ruin an otherwise decent song. The features on this thing are kinda forgettable, Andre's verse is solid, but constantly throughout this 6-minute track, we have to trail back to one of the worst choruses on any rap song ever. I'm putting this so high up on the list because it really does taint an otherwise perfect 10 out of 10 album for me. It's hard to say that Aquemini is flawless when anytime Mamacita comes on, I rush to skip it as soon as possible. Also, it looks even worse when you compare it to the song that follows it, the impeccable Spodioti Dopalicious. At number 1, we have a track that has absolutely no redeeming qualities whatsoever, My World by Guns N' Roses off of their 1991 album, Use Your Illusion 2. This is one of the worst songs you will ever hear. I'm not exaggerating, this thing sucks and everybody knows it sucks. I'm sure there are some people that don't mind Mamacita, there's probably an argument for Wild Honey Pie and Jazz Police whatever, but it doesn't matter if you love Guns N' Roses or if you hate Guns N' Roses, everybody seems to agree that this song is awful. So at the very end of the recording process for Use Your Illusion 2, which was extremely well received at the time and people still enjoy it today, Axl Rose tripped out on mushrooms, wrote and recorded this song in 3 hours, and included it on the album without the rest of the band even knowing. Guns N' Roses are traditionally like stadium hard rock, I'd say. Think of the hits like Sweet Child of Mine, Welcome to the Jungle, etc., but this song is this experimental nu metal trash that has no place on this album or any other. From the mind-numbing lyrics to all the sound effects in the background, the distortion, and Axl Rose's cringy delivery, this song is a straight 0 out of 10. It's horrendous. It's only about 1.5 minutes long, but it's harder to sit through than anything I've named so far. And with this track, I think it's a perfect storm of a lot of the blunders that we discussed today. If there's anything to learn from this video, I think that we have a few bullet points of how these bad songs on good albums happen. We have songs that were terrible ideas before they even got recorded, tracks that saw the musician going in a new direction or trying to be experimental, songs that were short but also so bad that they're still a pain to listen to even if they're short. We've got passion projects from somebody in the band, generally annoying noises that are near torturous, and somehow, some way, all of these things apply to My World. It's that bad.
I want to step into my world. It's a socialist psychotic state of bliss.
Let me know what you think of my picks, comment down below with any examples that came to mind, and thanks for watching. Hey, thank you for watching that video. If you want to support the channel, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. You can follow me on social media at RenshawHS. You can buy my merch, support my Patreon, and thank you again. I'll see you soon.